Hi, this is I'll Explain. This time I'll explain the DOM. DOM, model number MS-09, is a ground-type mobile suit developed by Zeon for the Principality of Zeon. DOM's prominence is not propelled by the black tri-stars alone, but also how DOM was indispensable for Zeon's relatively successful retreat from Earth, those remained as guerrilla force to persist for years to come, and later even become the bulwark of Zeon Space Force as Rig DOM. We are going to focus on DOM itself for now, since it does have some special sauce to make it successful in the first place. DOM was developed after Zeon had landed on Earth and found the mobility of Zaku's wanting. Sure, with the Type J modification, the Zaku 2 can operate practically indefinitely outside of combat, but walking as a 80 meters tall giant with supersonic transmission is still just walking. Sure, Zeon had developed and deployed trucks as transport, but they were only designed for logistics. Buffalo and other skyships were developed to airdrop Zakus, but they are not too different from their Federation aircraft adversaries, nor are they immune to Federation Army's anti-air effort. Zaku need means to improve their mobility on both strategic and tactical level to overcome Zeon's disadvantage in numbers. First, Zeon developed Support Flight Systems, or SFS, to carry 1 to 3 mobile suits into combat, and they are capable of carrying a single mobile suit for dogfights. Those vehicles can also provide fire support on their own. However, like every support vehicle that Zeon had developed, they are not as efficient as mobile suits themselves, and would slow down mobile suit manufacturing. The first success was Zaku 2 GD, or High Mobility Surface Type, an upgrade package Zeon have modified from the High Mobility Type upgrade package to be used on Earth. Instead of installing thermal rockets, jet engines were installed, allowing Zaku 2 GD to hover and move around by skating, and can use their backpack like an afterburner to increase speed. Zeon understands the utilities of hovering. Not only does it allow land units to move much faster than they do them running, but also allow them to traverse over less solid ground, like a desert or swamp, much easier, as well as crossing bodies of water without losing momentum, or even double as water surface firepower. Not to mention, hovering allows Zeon to cover their movement with terrain, something airship can only do with great difficulty. That's why Zeon had developed and deployed a number of hovercraft battleships. But the miniaturization of those Minovsky nuclear thermal jet engines was not a priority. Zeon did not wait for them either. While the development of Goof flying type was troubled, they were able to convert a number of units to use their flying jets as hoverjets, and found them to be much less problematic to operate. DOM began its development life as YMS-08, a competitor to Goof for Zeon's ground type and possible next-generation mass production mobile suit. While Zeon did want to improve Zaku's mobility, Goof is highly compatible with Zaku in parts, while YMS-08 does not. So Goof won the competition, and Zeon instructed Zeon to develop YMS-08 under Goof's architecture. Zeon put some of YMS-08's parts on Goof for compatibility tests, and those Goof are later known as Goof Type C5. Goof Type C5 still uses jet engines to hover, and was sent to Earth for field tests. The Zeon ground force likes the improved mobility and the additional vertical track for the mono-eye, but does not like how Goof Type C5 is using all these extra new parts. So Zeon ground force took over the development of YMS-08, and the result is MS-08 Ifrit. Zeon still has an ace in the hole. the miniaturized Minovsky nuclear thermojet engine. Having learned their lesson, Zeon revised their design to be more Zaku and Goof compatible, and used them as testbed. The Minovsky nuclear thermojet engines enable Dome to hover indefinitely in cruising mode, allowing Dome squadrons to take long marches without transportation. While they will still need logistic support for refueling their backpack thrusters and reloading their ranged weapons, they can be done with regular logistics vehicles that's much harder to spot compared to mobile suit carrying trucks and airships. Dome's more bulky and heavier armor was introduced after the miniaturized Minovsky nuclear thermojet engines showed promise. While the group flying types were not very successful, they did have extensive testing that Zeon can analyze in order to improve Dome's aerodynamics. And that design combined with efficiency improvements allowed Dome to have thicker armor. Dome's increased mobility can also be used in combat. Sure, Dome is still slower than most aircraft, but it was definitely one of the fastest mobile suits on the ground in the One-Year War, and very few of them are mass-produced like Dome. Given how Federation mobile suits often rely on their tower shield for defense, Dome's high mobility can be used to get to flanking position, even if Federation mobile suits manage to cover themselves against the Dome on the flank. Their front is now exposed to Zeon forces that they were defending against. Dome's high speed also means it is easier for them to get close to Federation force to fight in melee, where their properly trained pilots have the advantage against Federation mobile suits or traditional military vehicles that are just helpless. Now that we know why Dome was developed, let's take a closer look and see what Dome's so important to Zeon, starting from the head. The original YMS-08 design was out of the competition show so early that the only design element remained on the Dome is the additional track for the monoeye, a design choice meant to complement for the increased mobility. While not widely adopted by other Zeon or New Zeon mobile suits later, it does remain as part of the signature of Dome lineage, and would be adapted by specialist mobile suits or mobile armor ever since. You may notice Dome does not have pulse transmission tubes around its head. That is because they are now tucked under Dome's helm for improved aerodynamics. Since Dome would be moving around much faster than Zaku or Goof, it would dissipate heat much faster, so Dome doesn't need to expose those pulse transmission tubes for cooling. Dome does not have any reserved openings for commander antenna either, relying on its speed to reach their comrade instead. Dome's chest is very rounded for them aerodynamics. However, under the hood, it is more or less the same design as Goof. The armor is also significantly thicker than Goof. It is only possible with the improved mobility provided by Minovsky thermojet engines, but also to compensate for the lack of a shield. The pulse transmission tubes are also tucked under the waist armor, much like the head. The chest also sports the beam diffuser, another late addition to Dome that found its way to become its signature weapon. Dome skirts more or less follow the design of Zaku and Goof, except they are designed to be more aerodynamic to reduce the air wake while Dome is hovering at high speed. The rear skirt is supposed to house a set of thrusters, but they are not represented on this G-frame. Dome's legs are where the magic happens. The thighs are curvy like Zaku's, with the lower legs armor flanted to fit and protect the thrusters much like the skirts. But like the skirt thrusters, these thrusters are not represented on this G-frame. The shape of the armor also reduces drag and improves efficiency of the thermojets, and allows the lower legs thrusters to contribute when they are engaged. Dome's feet are very big because they house the miniaturized Minovsky nuclear thermojet engines and help Dome ride the air cushion generated by them. The air cushion generated by the miniaturized Minovsky nuclear thermojet engines are powerful and steady, allowing Dome to shoot accurately whether it is still or on the move. Like we have mentioned, Dome can more or less gauge indefinitely as long as the pilot can endure. Although the Dome is a very smooth ride since it has additional shock absorption with the air cushion, or Dome can engage its many thrusters and effectively fly on the ground. In addition, thanks to the lift generated by the air cushion, Dome's thrusters has much better fuel efficiency compared to Zaku and Goof. Dome's arms are built as a larger version of the Zaku's in hope to improve its melee prowess. It is another late addition introduced as Dome received thicker armor, where Zemet and Zeon hope to compensate for the lack of a shield. Sure, Dome can still carry Zaku or Goof's shield with its hand, but Dome already has extra armor added on it. Supplying it with a shield means Zeon would be sinking more time and material than they would on other mobile suits, and Zeon could ill afford either of those. Dome also does not have fixed mount weapons on its arms like Goof or some Zaku variants, because Zemet focused their effort on improving Dome's mobility, so both forearms and shoulder armor are designed to reduce drag. By making Dome's arms larger, they can house tougher internal frame and larger hydraulics, thus having more strength and endurance compared to Zaku and Goof. This was well received by pilots, since most Zaku does not have fixed mount weapons on their arms to begin with, and they appreciate the extra punch Dome's arm brings. Dome's backpack is relatively small and pretty much merged with the chest armor, but like the body itself, it is just more or less the same as Zaku and Goof under the hood. A loop is installed in the middle on a swivel. It is a holster and charging dock for the hit saber. Zemet used this design instead of their original larger backpack to improve logistics for the Dome. This design also improves Dome's weight distribution, making it relatively easy to pilot despite its speed. Dome's standard loadout is rather simple, because Zeon envisioned Dome as line breakers to complement Zaku and Goof on the ground, or conduct special operation over swamp, desert, snow, or any other terrain type that would be difficult to walk, or bodies of water too shallow for amphibious mobile suit to traverse. Dome's standard loadout is a giant bazooka, a hit saber, and a beam diffuser on the chest. The giant bazooka, as its name implies, is a very big bazooka. Not referring to mobile suit being giants, but the giant bazooka is a larger caliber version of the Zaku bazooka. While often associated with Dome, the giant bazooka was actually developed in response to Antarctic treaties, where Zeon and Federation, the latter with much larger reserve, are banned from using nuclear warheads. While Zeon would no longer be able to have Zakus to sink Federation battleships single-handedly, Zeon wasn't thrilled about the Federation unleashing their entire arsenal on Side 3 either. Zeon developed the giant bazooka hoping the increased conventional payload can close the measure of gaps in potency compared to those of nuclear warheads. Of course it never does, but they are still powerful enough that pilots without outstanding colors can cripple older Federation battleships with a direct hit, and renowned ace pilots like the Black Tri-Stars can easily sink them with one good hit. The giant bazooka would remain in Zeon-type mobile suits' arsenal ever since. The hit saber is also very straightforward. It is a saber version of the hit hawk. Much like the beam saber, it is not actually a saber, rather a fighting rod with a hilt, small handguard, and rest of it lined with the same ceramic composite material on the hit hawk's blade. This is Zemet's solution to the foreseeable mobile suit on mobile suit melee combat, a requirement from Zeon for the original ground type and possible next generation mass production mobile suit. Since the hit saber would be relying on the heat generated by the ceramic composite to cut, making the blade profile rounded with maximized longevity. This is done to remedy the underlying problem of using Hit-Hawk as a melee weapon, since the Hit-Hawk was designed as a bridging tool, being used to parry other melee weapons and extensively in combat was not part of its design consideration. So Hit-Hawk became a semi-consumable weapon, something that Zeon Logistics wasn't very happy about but minor enough to not request for a solution. Another benefit of the Hit Saber is that it is much better at stepping compared to the Hit-Hawk, having just the blade tip to penetrate and travel through its target. It also has longer reach, putting Dom at a more even footing against Federation's Beam Saber. Also like the Hit-Hawk, Hit Saber's heating element generates a magnetic field that can block Beam Saber. The beam diffuser was introduced as Dome entered mass production. The original plan was to have a recharge socket on Dome's chest to charge Zeon's new beam weapons, should they become available shortly after Dome rolled out in mass. However, those beam weapons were not realized and Dome was stuck with this awkward beam compressor that goes nowhere. And Zeon already produced a substantial number of them because they were supposed to be a new standard part. But Dome pilots quickly found that the relative weak and low speed beam can still be used to disrupt incoming beam bolts or beam blades, turning some fatal hits into close calls. Zimac quickly added a diffuser nozzle to the beam compensator, increasing the coverage of the beam burst, giving Dome a bit of active defense against Federation's onslaught of beam attacks. Dome pilots also found the beam diffuser works like a flashbang against other mobile suits up close, since mobile suits rely mostly on optical sensors. Dome pilots also use the beam diffuser to pretend there are incoming beam shots, commonly done before they change position to flank their targets. There are no records of Dome using beam diffuser as an anti-personnel weapon, and by the time Dome was deployed, the Federation no longer needed their infantry to engage mobile suits. Although as Federation launched their counterattack and recovered most of the Zeon-occupied territories on Earth, Dome were being equipped with anything that Zeon have: Zaku machine guns, 90mm machine guns, Panzer Voice, Gatling guns, giant Hit-Hawk. Pretty much everything and anything Dome can pick up will be equipped. If not, they would be jerry-rigged on Dome with wrecks in their service garage. To say Dome exceeds Zeon's expectation is an understatement. Like we have mentioned, the fast speed and hovering capabilities of Dome allow Zeon to launch counterattacks to delay Federation advance time and time again. Dome also slowly replaced Zaku and Goof as the mainline mobile suit on the ground, with Zaku often used as fast support and Goof remaining as melee specialist. Even with the introduction of Jugok, Dome remained as the mainline thanks to its speed and armor. After Zeon officially retreated from Earth, surviving Zeon Earth Force began their guerrilla campaign, and Dome remained front and center, with some being upgraded to Doomtruppen or Red Dome 2 or later Doach. Dome was also being used for the final stand of Solomon and Abaoku as Red Dome, but of those will get their own video. Some may argue if Zeon adopted Dome as their next generation mass production mobile suit instead of waiting for Jugok, they might walk away with a bountiful armistice. That could be the case if the maintenance unification project started before or along with Dome, and Zeon was willing to mass produce beam weapons with auxiliary generator instead of waiting for ECAP's mass production. Not to mention the giant bazooka was the new standard bazooka for all Zeon mobile suits, while the Hit Saber never caught on with other Zeon mobile suits. Hit-Hawk is well understood and easy to carry. His sword is just more well liked by melee specialists. Beam melee weapons became a reality for Zeon, and they are very much superior to Hit Saber in every way. In fact, a lot of the Dome lineage switched to be melee weapons, so making Dome the main mass production mobile suit for Zeon instead of Jugok would mean Zeon do not have to endure the growing pain of adopting the Jugok. But that wouldn't increase Zeon's military strength by a significant margin. Dome was being adopted and built by Federation after the 1-year war like Zaku and Jugok, although it was less popular because it is not as easy on the pilot and budget as the Zaku and does not have a similar loadout to GM like Jugok. Having said that, the concept of air cushion for mobile suit would be heavily studied and adopted by pretty much everyone after the 1-year war. While the Federation was on their way during the later stage of the war, being able to access ZMS scientists and engineers as well as Dome's development accelerate the Federation's progress. Dome's design of increasing body and lower leg volume also influenced mobile suit designs for years to come. In fact, it is the main influence of Gundam GP02. But how that backfired is for GP02's video. Both concepts remain popular for the rest of Universal Century. Thanks for watching.